Hey guys, welcome to Meals with Maria. You may have noticed same outfit as my last video because I'm just gonna batch film these right here to make sure that I can get everything out for you. Today I have some $5 dinners for you, two amazing meals that were absolutely incredible. The first one is like a chicken lemon potato dish. My husband's like, oh, something fancy tonight. And I was like, yes, this is a $5 dinner, super fancy. So I'm super excited to share with you. Second one includes macaroni and cheese. I mean, who doesn't love it? So let's get to it.
Now, this first recipe is a lemon chicken with potatoes. Now, the recipe is from Pillsbury.com, which I absolutely love. If you can use like a Pillsbury recipe or a Betty Crocker recipe, because I just feel like they're tested, tried and true, and they're usually low ingredient. So I'm just using the potatoes that I had on hand. So I had some of these like little small multicolored potatoes, and they had honestly started to go a little bit. So I was just cutting out the little pieces that were like the little eyes on there. I mean, I'm just going to go with what I have. They're totally fine. They tasted delicious. So if you need to cut the eyes out of your potatoes, don't stress. Just do it. It's not a problem. Or buy new potatoes. Not a big deal either. They're very inexpensive. So this is why this is a $5 dinner, because you can get like a couple of russet potatoes or red potatoes for probably $1, maybe $2 at max. And you can get those really, really cheap. Or you can buy a 10-pound bag for $5 at Aldi. And at that point, you're just paying 50 cents for a pound of potatoes. So yes, the recipe calls for 1 pound of red potatoes, but use what you have. The next ingredient is 1/2 of a medium yellow onion diced. And I happen to have this large Vidalia or sweet onion. So I'm going to use maybe like 1/4 of it and just dice that up. Now, if you don't have an onion or you don't want to spend the money on it, like an onion is usually between 69 cents to $1 maximum. And if you don't have that, go ahead and just use onion powder with this, and I'm sure it would taste delicious. So just because I had the onion on hand, I'm using it, and I'm using about 1/4 of it. So like 20 cents for this onion. And the next thing I'm going to put in here is 1 lemon. So again, a lemon runs like 50 cents. And if you could see that I was rolling it, I find that if you roll the lemon, it's kind of a trick to make sure that the lemon gets really juicy and you get the juices out of it. So I just wanted to make sure that my lemon was super juicy so that when I put it on top of my chicken and my potatoes, that all the flavor came out. So I'm just slicing this into rounds, and I'm going to end up putting this over my chicken and potatoes, and it was absolutely delicious. Now I'm going to microwave 2 tablespoons of butter, or if you want, you could heat this up in a pan. I'm sure you could use margarine or oil, whatever you have. I just happen to have butter. Now to the melted butter, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, I'm kind of assuming that you have these things on hand, but I bet you could be pretty flexible with this recipe. Like when I'm thinking about brown sugar, I bet you could use maple syrup or potentially some honey on this, and it would still taste delicious. And as far as Italian seasonings, I mean, go ahead and put whatever your favorite seasoning is on there, or if you like a seasoned salt, I bet that would taste really good too. I think the key is you just want that salty sweet flavor, and it was honestly so good. So now that I've prepped everything, I'm pulling out my chicken, and I was able to get chicken for $1.69 a pound. So I'm just going to open this package up. This is like a family size package, and I'm going to use 5 of these boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and the total on that is going to come to about $2.60, which is very, very reasonable for chicken. If you're a larger family, the amount of sauce that I've made and even the amount of potatoes there are going to be plenty if you use all of the chicken. So it would definitely put you over the $5 mark, but it'd still be a very inexpensive and healthy meal for your family. So now that I'm watching this, I don't know why I chose a paper plate to do this on, but I just wanted something easy that I guess I didn't have to do dishes because my dishwasher's still not hooked up. But I'm just putting the glaze over one side of the chicken, and I'm going to place that onto a hot pan, and then I'll put the glaze on the other side of the chicken. So I'm going to put it glaze side down. Now I'm going to cook these over medium-high heat for about 3 to 4 minutes so that each side is nice and cooked up and a little bit crispier. And I've also preheated my oven to 400 degrees because we are going to pop these in the oven after. So even though I'm cooking these in the pan, I just want the outsides to get seared. I'm not trying to cook them all the way through. And then, like I said, I'm going to put the rest of the glaze on the other side of the chicken. I'll flip them in just a couple minutes and make sure that everything's seared and the flavor is really getting incorporated into the chicken. Now that my chicken's seared, I believe the recipe calls for like an 8x10 casserole dish. This is just what I had on hand. So I'm placing all of my boneless, skinless chicken thighs into my dish. And then you'll see in the bottom of the pan, there is all sorts of delicious glaze and juices there. And I'm not going to miss a minute of that. Pour that right over your chicken. Do not be afraid. That is where all the flavor is and all the deliciousness. Then you just want to pour all of your sliced up potatoes on top, as well as your onions and your delicious juicy lemons. At this point, the recipe calls for pouring another tablespoon of butter over the top, so I just used my pan that I already had to get even more of the herbs and that flavor off there, and just poured it right over my chicken and potatoes and lemon. Then we're just ending with a sprinkle of salt and pepper to finish this off before it goes in the oven. I really just love the way this looked. My husband was right. It did look like a fancy dinner, and this is something that's great just for a regular family dinner because it didn't really take very long to put together, and then once you put it in the oven, it's like set it and forget it. You could probably make this ahead of time and then put it in there, and this is what everything looks like when it comes out. I cooked mine for 30 minutes. If you have larger potatoes, you can go for 40 minutes at 400 degrees, and it was so delicious. This could be good for a crowd or for your family. And the next recipe I'm making is like a cheeseburger mac casserole. And I think it kind of tasted like a taco mac and cheese with some meat, I guess. So we're using some taco seasoning from Aldi for 38 cents. I'm using this ground turkey from Walmart that I get for $1.68. I have a can of diced tomatoes. I bought those at the Dollar Tree for $1, but I know you can get them for like 50 cents at Aldi. And then I happen to have Spiral Kraft macaroni and cheese. I think that's like $1, but I know you can get the Aldi brand for 34 cents and it would taste delicious in this. So this is so inexpensive. So the first thing I'm going to do is cook up my macaroni for my macaroni and cheese. And then I am so sorry, guys. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So I need to tell you about what I did here. I cooked up my ground turkey over, medium-high heat, just like I would do for a taco skillet. Cooked it all the way through. Then I poured in my packet from my macaroni and cheese, as well as my taco seasoning and my diced tomatoes. At this point, my spiral mac was finished. It took 7 minutes. So in the time that it took for me to boil the water and cook the macaroni and cheese, which was a little over, probably 10 minutes because I had to wait for the water to boil, I was able to basically make this entire meal because by the time that the macaroni was ready, everything else was ready too, which was just great. And I ended up using that Italian ground turkey from Walmart because that's what I had in my freezer, and that tasted delicious. I think you could use regular ground turkey. You can use ground beef. You could use whatever you had on hand. I bet it would taste really good with some Italian sausage. So any of those things will do. This is one of those meals that you can kind of mess around with, add, take away, just do whatever your heart desires. So it really turned out great. I was like, guys, to my kids, I'm like, this is a taco in a bowl. Basically, it's a taco pasta. It's going to be delicious. And it just turned out so cool. And I just loved how you just put like that macaroni and cheese packet in there. And I'm like, yeah, it's cheesy. Like it's like nacho cheesy and you taste your taco seasoning. And overall, it was just so good. So I was always, because this is a $5 dinner, I ate it. I tried it as it was. It was delicious. I mean, if you don't have any toppings for it, don't even bother. Not a big deal. But you can also put some shredded cheese on top of it, or you can put some sour cream. I ended up using like some Greek yogurt because that's what I had, and it was amazing. So put whatever toppings you want on there, maybe some cilantro, some jalapenos, have at it. This was so good. That's what I have for you guys today. I want to thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all so much. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to have more $5 dinners coming at you, and hopefully extreme grocery budget challenges coming soon too. If you like this video, I do have one from last week. I'll make sure to post that playlist for the $5 dinners for you. And I will see you all very soon.
What do you think? Good. Oh, yeah.